Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a video for you about video game violence. The gameplay that you're going to get to see is a little bit of old school MW2. I'm using the M16 with a holographic sight, almost said EOTech sight, a little bit too much Black Ops 2 there, and a silencer. I started off with some really conservative kind of gameplay here. I was creeping around, I was trying to get a high score, but the enemy team didn't capture their home flag, so our team banded together and we went for a 200-0 gameplay. Not going to spoil too much of the gameplay for you, but it was fun, and it's a mixed bag. Really conservative, really aggressive, and some good and some bad gameplay. Been playing a whole lot of Destiny lately, so my COD game's pretty badly off. But we're talking about video game violence, and I'm not going to make this one too analytical. We're not going to be researching papers or doing meta papers or anything like that. Just casual observations that to me make sense. We'll start off with a pretty well agreed upon fact, both in research and in observation, and that's that video game consumption is way up. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody that would say that video game consumption is down, less and less youth or adults or people in general are playing video games, or even that it's remained unchanged. Pretty much everybody in their right mind would agree with me when I say that video game and video game players are only increasing. It's super high amongst males, somewhere between 80 to 95-ish kind of percent of males, depending on the survey, have played or do currently play games, and it is increasing among females. The population of female gamers is consistently growing, both in percentage and in total number, so that's a good thing. Well, I guess those two do go hand in hand. I'm not talking about the percentage inside the gaming group. So gaming's definitely on the rise, we get that. However, you would think that if video games made people violent, if they caused agitation, if they were definitely a detriment to our society, then we would see an increase in crime, or maybe just an increase in crime amongst the select group. But the reality is that overall violent crime in the US is down, and overall crime in general in the US has been trending down since the 80s, and pretty much video games have been popular since the 80s. Youth crime is down. The amount of violent crime committed by youths is decreasing. You can get on the FBI.gov, and they've got a lot of nice graphs. You can look at this sort of stuff. And if you want to get creative about it, now it's going to vary a little bit from country to country. Some have political upheaval, some have turmoil, some have economic problems. But over the world, on average, violence and aggression are actually down. The world is becoming a more peaceful place, and our nation is becoming a more peaceful place. Again, there are cities that are not doing well. There's areas that are bad. There are countries that are having problems. But the global average is going down. And you would think that, again, if video games were violent and everybody was playing a ton of video games, that would mean we would all be getting more violent. There would be more rape, more murder, more theft, more Grand Theft Auto, not the game, but the actual crime, more that sort of stuff. But the evidence shows a correlation of the exact opposite of the claim of video games causing violence. As a matter of fact, the more we've been playing games, the more crime has gone down. It's not been proven if the decrease in crime is because of video games, or if it's some other factor that led to both a decrease in crime and a decrease in a decrease in crime and an increase in video game consumption. But there is at least a casual correlation there to look at. I think I just ate my bullets. That was so weird. Or here's another one that you can think about. If everyone that played a violent video game became bad, or warped, or deranged, or had their sense of morality squashed, then where are all these murdering rapists at? Where are these morally confused young adults? Where are these evil people hiding? Similar to the other one, but on a more personal level, you would expect to see these awful, horribly damaged human beings, these violent, uncontrollable individuals on every street corner, because games like Call of Duty, which are inherently violent, not as violent as some games, sell millions upon millions of copies and make billions of dollars every single year. Yet we don't see every single Call of Duty player just slaughtering their neighbors over peanut butter or French toast, or they're not getting in trouble at school, they're not really having any problems. People from all walks of life are doing this, and they're not becoming murderers or something. Or here's another interesting thing that I see on TV, and it drives me bonkers how they do this on the news. They do this because basically the older people that watch the news get really hyped up on this stuff and they watch it more, but they'll say, okay, you know, little Johnny shot up his school and killed 6 people. Did you know that little Johnny owned a copy of Grand Theft Auto and he played it a lot? And I was like, well, that might be true, but that's probably not the factor that led him to shooting up his school or murdering people. It's kind of cherry-picking details. You can do this thing, so like, little Johnny shot up his school and killed a bunch of people. Very bad thing, not trying to downplay that. And he played Grand Theft Auto. Well, did you know that he was also diagnosed with a variety of behavioral disorders? It could be anything as far as sociopathy, schizophrenia. He could have been a crack baby. He could have had severe anger problems. He could have been suffering from severe depression. A lot of times you find undiagnosed mental problems in people like this. Or did you also know that little Johnny had a completely broken home life with the parents that abused him or didn't love him, or he didn't have any food or any friends and he just had to teach himself? That doesn't really help. Did you also know that little Johnny got little to no medical treatment for his mental disorders? Did you know that he had no friend? I mean, did you know that all these other sort of things are going on? Or sometimes you have people that are inherently damaged and they do have a support system in their life and you still can't save them. But they're going to play video games because the common pastime of everybody in the United States these days is video games. Like, we'll pick on little Johnny. Did you know that he also watched television? Did you know that he listened to dangerous rock music? Did you know that he really liked cargo shorts? Did you know that he watched My Little Pony? My Little Pony influences violence. Of course it doesn't. None of these things. You can do this thing like 100% of all murderers have bread in their system or water in their system, or things like that. You're just finding one detail from their life. It's like, did you know that all murderers wear clothes? Or like 99% of murderers wear clothes? Do clothes make you evil? No. You can do the same thing with video games. Like, he read a violent book. Well, everybody reads books. Hell, a lot of people read some of the violent books are the better selling ones. That's just kind of how this world works. Or you can even look at the classmates that could have got shot in this thing. And did you know that 29 out of 30 people in little Johnny's class also had Grand Theft Auto? And they all played together, and I totally missed that dude standing in the corner. He's going to get me in just a second, but you can kind of see how bad my colorblindness is sometimes. I can see it on Sony Vegas when I put the colorblind correction on, but there I just totally missed him because he was standing still. I basically just looked for movement in this game, and I also didn't see him through the smoke there. That was pretty rough. And the same kind of argument can be made to ban almost anything. I mean, it's generally the same kind of people that make this. They're in the media, or ill-informed, or the morality police, and they say these kind of things out of ignorance or to kind of drum up an audience, to elicit a response from people, almost kind of like a troll, or I would say a view whoring, karma whoring kind of thing. Like, you're going to say what you want to hear just to get you hyped up and listen. And it's the same kind of people that ages and ages ago they tried to ban mixed sex dancing because they thought that would lead to sex before marriage, immorality, and eventually destroy the country. And to be fair with them, it probably did lead to sex before marriage, but that didn't destroy the country because that's been going on since the beginning of time and isn't changing anytime soon. It's the same kind of people that in the early 1930s, when film was becoming very popular, that they tried to ban all pornography and pornographic films. They tried to make it illegal, and that's just something that's also not going away because we've had dirty pictures since we've pretty much had pictures, and that's just part of humanity and who we are, but it hasn't ended the world yet. Again, the same kind of people that tried to ban rock music in the 1950s because Elvis was gyrating his hips, and it was sung by these uppity Negroes. They're going to corrupt our children, and they're going to teach them to do drugs, whoa, and all this kind of stupid stuff, either from the racist or the morality police. And it didn't turn their children black. It didn't turn them into drug addicts. It didn't turn them into anything that would end their lives. They just enjoyed the music, and they even tried to ban pinball machines because pinball machines were addictive. They caused gambling. You know, the kids that played pinball machines didn't grow up to be hardcore gamblers in Las Vegas, swindling all their money away, or, you know, that's swindling is stealing it from other people, or violent TV shows. We've had violent action-packed movies since there has been movies. Even the old cowboy movies were essentially the violent action movies of their day, and this is just who we are, and these things can't be stripped from our society. Regulating morality, legislating morality, and trying to be the moral police for other people has pretty much never worked. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful, and if you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.